Okay, so this is the 2025 Higher Level Junior Cert Maths paper, question 4. 12 students sit class tests in art and business on Monday. The students' marks in both subjects are as follows. First question is to complete the stem and leaf plot below. So I've done that already. So all you've got to do is take the art, which is on the left hand side here, start with 30, and as you pick the numbers, just tick them off. So 34 is the lowest one, 3 and 4 here. So I would just tick off 34 here. 37 then is the next one. So 37 is here, and so on. And you just write in the second digit of each of these numbers here. The same with business on the right hand side. And then you've got the key down at the bottom here, which just says 5 with a line and 3 means 53 marks. And then if you have 4 with a line and 5, that just means 54 marks. Okay, so the second question then is, based on the shape of the stem and leaf diagram, write a sentence to compare the students' results in art and business. You should refer to how well students did on average and to how spread out the marks are. So I've written this out already just to save a little bit of time. So I'm saying on average students did better in business than art. 7 students scored over 60 in business, whereas only 2 scored over 60 in art. Art students' scores ranged from 34 to 71, whereas business students' scores are all up in the 60s and 70s. So the students' scores are spread out more. So you can see that here. You can see in business, the students' results are up here in the 50s and 60s, whereas most of the art students are down here at 30s, 40s and 50s. And only 2 students scored in the 60s and 70s here, whereas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 students scored in the 60s for business. Okay, the next question is, it says work out the range of marks for business. So what you've got to do is look at the highest score for business, which is 69, the lowest score for business, which is 52, and subtract them to get the range. So let's do that. So the range then for business is just 69 minus 52. When you do that, you get a range of 17. The next question then, again, I've done this one out. Michael is one of 12 students. He sits the business test again and gets a higher mark than the first time he took the test. When the teacher uses Michael's new mark and works out the range of marks, the range does not change. Explain how this could happen. Well, the range is determined by the maximum and the minimum value in the set of scores. So Michael's second score then wouldn't have been a maximum or a minimum. So what I'm saying here is if the range has not changed, then Michael's new score was not a maximum or a minimum score. The range will only change if the maximum or minimum score changes. Okay, so the last part then says that at 13 students, Ajani was absent for the 2 tests on Monday. He sits the tests the following day. When his mark is included, the mean mark of art increases from 50 to 51. Work out Ajani's mark in art. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. I've just written it out here. The mean mark is 51 when Ajani did the test. The mean mark went up from 50 to 51. So this is the mean mark here. How was that worked out? Well, you'd add up all the different scores that you have, plus you would take into account Ajani's mark, which we don't know. And then you would divide by 13. There are now 13 students. So what you would get then is just 51 is equal to this x, Ajani's mark here that we don't know, plus when you add all these other numbers up, you get 600. Divide by 13. What you can do then is, well, there's a 13 on the bottom here that's dividing into the top. So to get rid of that 13, what you would do is multiply by 13. And you would need to multiply this side by 13 as well. That will cancel with that. And what you've got to do then is just multiply 51 by 13. That's 663. So that's equal to x plus 600. So in order to work out what x is, then what Ajani's mark is, what you would normally do here is you would look at this 600, which you've got to get rid of. It's a plus 600, so let's subtract 600 to get rid of it. So that will give us 0 there, but you must subtract 600 from this side as well. If you do that, you get a score of 63, which is Ajani's. This is Gianni's score. Okay, and that's it for this question.